Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. I wanted to start over on the test server because a lot of players were kind of wondering when it comes to Hae-In, when it comes to Jinwoo, where are we seeing them in formations? Got a couple questions over here in chat that we'll get to in just a minute. But the unknown jelly bean, very cool. The daddy hippo right there. And we're looking at 7,000 cores, so planning on E60 a couple of heroes. Now, Christopher, if you're sitting at 7,000 cores, it is 4,500 cores for one single hero to get to that E60. So you're going to have a lot more cores than that. They are very, very expensive when it comes to overall building out the heroes. And one of the things to note is when it comes to the two crossover heroes, so when it comes to the new dimensional heroes that we're seeing, we are starting to see them in formations and even in the current formations that we have. So they are a little bit expensive. Now, as it sits right now, when it comes to both of those heroes, it is saying that they need an E60 to an E67 to really have a lot of utility. So those are heroes, unfortunately, you're going to have to kind of overinvest in. And I feel like in conjunction with the Highborn Draconic hero that we just had, is incredibly expensive to build all of those out. But we know for a majority of players, because we still have, I believe, 2 more days, then we have 28 days to actually use the, before we get the heroes in the chest. It is going to be quite a while until we can get them, Christopher. And I think my coffee's coming in right now. Thank you. W. But yeah, like I was saying, they're kind of interesting to see. So looking in here, we do see, and I want to run through and see if they're being used in here because I didn't hop over in the test server. Now, one thing to note is looking at Lysander. So he has been showing up in a lot of different formations. Again, he is a hero that I feel like when he first came out, we didn't see that hero anywhere. Then we started to see a little bit of exposure in different places. And now we have started seeing the hero everywhere. And in here, it looks like this iteration, we are not seeing them. You can see Marcial Laios is still being used in there. And I also want to see if they're being used in the Nightmare Corridor. Then we'll swap over to the regular accounts within the regular server and see if they're being used. Now, there's also a question with some of these heroes. Are they unlocked? Do these players have access to it? Normally, traditionally, because they are the larger whale players within AFK Arena, I am under the assumption that they're being used, and it doesn't look like either place here that they're being used. So let me hop out of BlueStacks, and I'm going to hop over to my other, the other account. So we'll hop over to the regular classic server on here, and we will check it out. Finally caught a stream. What's going on, Giddy? Iden is here. Thunderclaw Lewanski. It looks like Ezzy Taunts Kev is here as well. Thank you guys for joining me. Yeah, I know. And it's interesting because the way, Jordan, that they built Jinwoo, he's a little bit different. And now you also have to remember, one of the very early things and one of the very disappointing things when we came and when we seen the hero itself is they used a very basic version of Jinwoo. They didn't use, and again, I haven't watched the anime, but a lot of players were talking about, you know, using the very end game where he is a super powerful mage when he comes up, or he is like a summoner, he's a mage. They used a very basic version of the hero. And from my understanding, again, what players have said is that the one that they used is from really the first 2 or 3 episodes of solo leveling. It's not once he's leveled up. It's not really an endgame version, which I know there was an explanation from Lilith about the hero that they used. And that was kind of the basic that they did use. A new Highborn loading screen looks so cheap. Yeah, there's a couple where I feel like they could have done a lot better. They could have done a lot better. What's going on, P? Not excited about any of them. Yeah, and again, Hae-In is the one that I would recommend if you're only building one in the entirety. It seems like Jinwoo might be playing a little bit more of support, but I know and I believe in this iteration right now that we have of the Cursed Realm, that they were using him, and they were using him in this last formation. Let me see someone who has them open. I always look for pretty much 1 or 2 specific players that have this open, because unfortunately, and this is something that we talked about today, and we've talked about and really discussed with Lilith, is looking in here and using the heroes, but also having the ability to just view all of the hero formations instead of following and unfollowing people. It's going to be pretty interesting because I know an earlier iteration of this was running both of the heroes, and they were running the heroes with the awakened version of Estrilda. So again, this might have been a little bit of an update to see that long team, because the majority of players that I follow or unfollow all have this very last formation locked. Then we get into the Nightmare Corridor. And again, we've seen them in formations earlier. Shaw or Rendell signature item 20. I would do Randy. I would honestly do Randy. I gave up trying to catch up my 3-year-old account, started fresh. Yeah, a 3-year-old account, you're missing a crazy, crazy amount of stuff. So right here we have Envy, then we have Marseille, which we've traditionally seen. Liberta still holding on strong with that cheese formation. Then we do have Scion in here. There we go. Look at this. Aurelia at 70 billion damage in there. And right there is the 2 new heroes. So if you look, they're using the trial version. So that there is Shahan. Right there is Jinwoo that is showing up in the Nightmare Corridor. I feel like, again, when the heroes get out to everybody in a bigger scale, it's really going to make a big difference on how they perform. But I know in the Curse Realm, we did have a formation that we had them in. Then the Nightmare Corridor, there's a formation that they're in. So I feel like, again, when it comes to the iteration, and it's also kind of hard, a little bit more difficult to get and really build 2 heroes together at the same time, kind of in conjunction. It does make a big difference because you're not trying to fit one hero into formations. You are trying to fit both heroes into formations, which again can be a little bit more difficult when it comes to the hero. But if you are a free-to-play player, 100%, I would absolutely go in here and I would build both of those heroes. Now, there's also been some questions when it comes to the Noble Tavern and what Dali has been talking about within the Noble Tavern, which again, thinking of timeline, and I want you guys to think about this for a minute. Fish with her, you'll never go home empty-handed, is when you start looking at kind of the timeline, like we've said, bigger timeline, we still have to get an awakened hero for the Maulers, and we have to get an awakened hero for the Wilders, and we have to get one for the Greyborn. So there are going to be 3 more awakened heroes this year, which we're already in August. We're already 2 weeks from September. So if this release is not an awakened hero, and it seems like if this is not going to be the time, if the next patch is not going to contain the awakened hero, that means we're getting one in September, which gives us a very, very short 4-month timeline to sneak in 3 awakened heroes. I feel like we might have to really pay attention to the timeline in here, because if they do not really start pushing out a little bit more of the awakened heroes, we're going to run out of the year. We're really going to run out of the year. And this really started when they had Zora, which started way early, and I believe it was very, very late December, early January for the heroes. So again, we have 3 more awakened heroes, not including everything else we have going on that is going to happen to go through here and make a lot more progression. I bought Sha and tried her using in the campaign. She does not perform well early game. I feel like she only works well when you get her built up. So again, when we start thinking of the optimal build for both of these heroes, they are placing them at a 40967, which is the optimal, even looking at the basic. So thinking basic build, and again, thinking of like a Shahan, which I know we built and we bought both of those. So they're saying a basic build. So if you're getting the trial version, if you're getting a version of this hero specifically, they're recommending a 309 as a super basic build to have her perform. So she is going to need that plus 30 signature item. She is also going to need the 9 of 9 furniture. This is where she is going to shine. So again, when you say early game, not super effective, depending on if she was already built to the 309, that is going to make a big difference. Now for the basic build, when it comes to Jinwoo, the basic build, and literally the very, very basic build that we have on here takes Jinwoo to a plus 40 signature item. That's basic. That is the basic, where they said this hero without this plus 40 signature item, without the poison, without the extra damage, again, as a very basic hero, you want the enemies taking 60% more damage. That's the reason why players build Jinwoo, is the damage amplification aspect. If you do not, on a basic build, have that plus 40, which I know is super expensive, especially early game, you're not going to see a lot of utility. Rem is not free. So Rem, if you're looking at Rem, you have to use resources within the Garrison. So this is the point where you will get Rem right here out of the Garrison. That is where she is going to be used. That is where you're going to have to get copies of her. And it is going to take, and it does require going in there and using resources. So now be very careful. Now you have to be in Thunderclaw. You have to be very, very careful, because if you're looking to get the heroes out of there, so if you're looking to get a copy of Rem, and this is why I'll show you guys in just a minute, why I kind of stopped, is if you're going in there and you're looking to get that copy of Rem, you have to be careful because I don't want you to get burned by not being able to get the dimensional crossover heroes because you use your resources for rem. It's going to be hard. You have to really go in there. Do you have a beginner's guide on what all this means? There's a few. If you look, Ronan Reed, there is a beginner's guide down there that we've covered before that does cover a lot. If you have questions, definitely drop them in here. That way we know which one. Yeah, Cha and Jin are both being used in a formation, which again, it is going to be a little bit earlier. What does the E mean? So the E is elite. So that is the basic version. So when you see a purple, this is actually the elite version. As you can see right there, there is the elite. And then the elite plus is when you do have 2 copies of a hero, building them up a little bit further. Then they go to legendary, then the legendary plus, mythic, mythic plus ascended, and then you add stars on there. Really does make a big difference. Who do you recommend building first? Out of those 2 heroes specifically, I would build Hae-In. And again, when you look at the build, when you look at the hero, she is going to be the damage dealer. Might require a much higher build than, again, than we really want to put into her. But there is a 38. We'll build her out the rest of the way. Boom. Oh, we need more to get her to a 40, so she's close. But again, the 40967 is where we want to build her. Even looking at the engraving, we did take her up to that 67, which is where we want her. Just got to get more furniture on there, which is super expensive. You should be able to get rem during the dimensional event. I have a free-to-play play. Yes, actually, absolutely. You should be able to get rem during the dimensional event with everything that you have. Yes, rem I'm going to get, but again, I really want to caution you. If you are a newer player to AFK Arena, please do not go in here or do your math. Make sure it is not off, because what we have seen, and Gory, this is what we've seen literally since the beginning of time, since they've started doing the double dimensional crossovers, is we have seen a lot of heroes or a lot of players that would come in here, they'd pick up rem, they would pick up, Shuna, they would pick up Rimuru, then they would be like, oh crap, we didn't have enough, we didn't save enough resources for the dimensional heroes, and now they are screwed because they are free to play. They cannot buy the dimensional heroes, and they have no method to get the dimensional heroes. And the reason why we really say and we really focus on ensuring and making sure that you get these heroes, guys, is if you do not get these heroes, so if you're not picking up Sha, if you're not picking up Sun, you're going to have to wait roughly 5 months. That's right, 5 months before you see the heroes pop up in here. So it is going to be a long time before you see them. That is also the reason why, when you look right now, looking at Laios and Marcio from Delicious in Dungeon, they are not in here because you have to wait about 5 months before they are available in the Garrison. So it does take a considerable amount of time. And even thinking now, and again, kind of looking back is very easy. If you were a player that did not get Marcial, if you did not get Laios, they are meta. They are best in slot in a couple different formations. So if you did miss out on those heroes, unfortunately, there is no way to get them until they pop up in the Garrison, which is going to be the exact same that I feel when it comes to Sha, when it comes to Sun Jinwoo, that they are going to have to go in there. I didn't realize how new solo leveling is in the anime, just released January 24. I thought it was a little bit earlier than that. If I remember, I thought it was a little bit earlier than that. Now, I haven't hopped on here today. I want to hop in and get all of our resources out of here. Boom, there is the Reckoning. So we are looking at the final objectives right there. Starting to get a lot more resources. And I feel like, yeah, this we had to get a lot of resources. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this game mode, guys, it's very easy. Going through here, you don't have to do a lot, and you really don't have to do a lot on a regular basis. You drop in here, you garrison your troops, you collect your resources, use your phosphorus crystals to level up all of your resources, and then you're pretty much done. Like I said earlier, there is not a crazy amount of stuff to do within this. And we've said from the beginning, it seems like within the Golden Frontier that it is just way too long. That the event itself, being the 30-day period, it does take a long time to get through here. There is a very long point of going through here. I feel like we need to streamline it. We need to shorten it up. We'll do our rally in there. Boom. All of the teams are completely set. We're going to have to, and you have to pay attention. So if you're looking in here, we have 14 of 18. Now, the reason for that is some of these places were taken, and if a settlement is taken, you're going to lose both of the resource nodes. So you got to kind of be on top of these as well. for the resource nodes themselves and making sure that you do stay up on them, which is going to be big. Rem costs 1/6 of the shock exchange price, and she resolves all the issues in the game. Yeah, honestly, Rem is crazy. Rem is super, super strong, even at an earlier. If you can keep Rem alive, that is really the biggest thing. If you have the ability to just keep Rem from literally dying, you are fine in Rem. If Rem can ult, once she starts kind of going through her cycle, Rem will destroy a lot of stuff. After Rem, is Shuna the next priority from the Garrison? Yes. Shuna is still used in a ton of different places, guys. She is really a hero that utility-wise, not really going anywhere anytime soon. We see Shuna used in a ton of different content in there, which is awesome. Is the SI-40 for the Awakened Estrella absolutely needed, as I'm not finishing, still not finishing Marcial, and I've only had Estrella. Estrella for the build in there, I believe they do have her at a 40, and really both the basic build and the recommended build does take her to a 40, because when you look at the 40 right here, other Blood Ward pack members are right here. For every 30% increments of max health any Blood Ward pack member holds as Scarlet Warrior, so if they have that shield, they deal 15% more damage, up to a 75% boost. Think about that for a minute. When it comes to the Awakened version of Estrella, guys, you get up to a 75% damage boost for the heroes that are in there. Yes, that is going to put the damage for the entire team, as long as they have that shield in there. That is going to put their damage through the roof when it comes to making a big difference. Should I SI-30 Albedo? I would not at this point. I do not know. I'm not aware of any formations that Albedo is actually being used. Yeah, which unfortunately, Lucas, I probably wouldn't, just for the fact that, again, I don't know anywhere that she's being used in any formations. Maybe if we had a dimensional tower, it would make a big difference, but overall, not too many places. Is Mulan playable? Yes, Mulan still is. I mean, just because a lot of other heroes came out, Mulan, again, not a priority, not in meta formations. But you also have to think is that when you start looking at a hero like Mulan, if you're missing a lot of meta heroes, Mulan has a lot more utility, has a lot more value, depending on where you're using the hero. That is the big difference, where when we look at meta formations, when you look at utility tier lists, when you look at a couple things like that, they're great if you have every single hero. If there's a bunch of heroes you're missing, if you have, a bunch of support heroes or some damage dealers, if there's some heroes in here that you do not have within meta formations, you can really go and build them out in the entirety, or some of those lower level utility heroes have a much higher utility because you do not have everyone built. How do I get more copies of Ivan? Summons. So there are really two ways, guys. If you're looking at a very specific hero, like you said there with Ivan, you can come in, you can do the desired hero summons. So we could go in here, we could grab, copies of Ivan. We could go ahead and we could do all of the summons for Ivan, or it's going to come out of your faction scrolls, or it's going to be out of just the regular scrolls out of here. That's the only way to get them. What's going on, Mohammed? Thanks for joining us. Instead of Mulan, should a new player build Alna from the store? Alna still does have utility. Alna is one that I would, because when you look at Alna will have utility and does have a lot of utility when it comes to your treasure scramble. This is a place where Alna will do well, but Alna still does have, again, a lot of utility in formations within the campaign. Alna is one that will drive a lot of the campaign. And again, thinking bigger picture, where if you do not have every awakened hero built, Alna is still going to have a ton of utility, needs the 9 of 9 furniture, doesn't really need the signature item nor the engraving, but the 9 of 9 furniture in there will do incredibly well. I have 650 Stargazer. Is it worth going in and investing for Ceramina? Again, utility-wise, and I know Finn will kind of echo this, she is being used in quite a few places. So when we look at the hero, is she going to be worth building for a hero that has a very short damage amplification? Nightmare Corridor, we're going to see her, and I believe even now we are seeing her in the Cursed Realm as well. Treasure Scramble in later formations, we're seeing her because, again, a very big burst team. She is taking that kind of to another level with the damage that she is putting out. It's very, very strong. She's a very strong hero, and very similar to what we've seen and kind of what we were talking about with Lysander. He was a hero that we didn't find anywhere. There was really no utility early with the hero. But as it sits right now, we are seeing him used in a ton of different formations. So the utility of the hero has went up a lot. And that is exactly the same that we see right now with Leviathan. Now, Leviathan is a hero, again, kind of finding a place early game when he came out, really finding a place in formations. And at this point, he is falling into that SSS tier. So he's in that very top tier. Utility for Leviathan has just went up exponentially, even creating survivability for the rest of the team. Highborn Draconic heroes, he is actually quite a bit higher now than we see for Skylan. Again, just kind of looking at utility wise. And then, of course, Lan is still coming in a little bit higher for the Highborn Draconic heroes. But overall, again, still seeing a lot of utility. Can you please check in-game Garrison and do your own math? Rem costs 1/6 of Shah. Yes, and it will. And they will, but you only get them for 30 days. It will be a lot cheaper. When you go in there, when you do the Garrison heroes, it is cheaper. And if you look here, 800, 800, 800, 2600, they are a lot cheaper to get those, exchanging those dimensional stones in here. And again, you can go in here, you can grab a hero, which I'm probably going to do over on the free-to-play account. Just for the simple fact that we do go in and we want to make a lot more progression in there. Levi is such a chat. Yes, absolutely, Corey. I do like, and I really think Leviathan is making a big difference in a lot of different game modes. That's the reason why I went in and I built him, and maybe we can do a couple more summons in here for him. But that is the reason why we started building up Leviathan. I need 2 more copies. I am 2 copies away from having him built out. So I'm thinking in here, we can get, what, 10 more cards? Which we can right there. So we'll exchange for those 10 more cards. We do have 10 more there. That is an extra 20, guys, bringing us a lot more of those Draconic Insignias. And then I believe we do have them out of the shop itself. Let's see if we can get any more of these in the entirety, because Dream Store, I think we bought them out. We did, and we also bought out the scrolls in there. Guild Store, I don't think we've reset yet, which we have not. Barracks, I know the stones we're just waiting on. Labyrinth, we've been buying, look at this, everything. Because we've been getting those dimensional chests for the heroes, we've been buying a lot out of there. And then this, of course, is just more red chests that we get out of here because we have all the required heroes, making a big difference. So maybe, guys, fingers crossed, we can get maybe 1 more copy, possibly, if we could do 2 more copies of Leviathan, 24 more insignias. Every time I do this, guys, you got to hold your breath because it's kind of crazy. Because the heroes are so expensive. All right, pull number 1, unfortunately, nothing in there. We get some more insignias. Pull number 2 doesn't bring us anything either. So unfortunately, boom, we got 2 more right there. 4 more cards. But that is 24 Draconic Insignias closer to getting the next copy that we need. And again, we are only 2 copies away from getting another hero. So unfortunately, nothing in those summons. But again, that does bring us closer because I know right now we do have 1 single extra copy, which is right there. And then Leviathan is already at Ascended. We're going to have to do some furniture summons. Hopefully, I have 550 Highborn Draconic cards. Should I summon for Levi? It costs about 700. So orange, it does cost. And even looking here, I don't know if we do a little bit. I think we can do a little bit further back. I believe at this point, now remember, with Leviathan, we did have, so we can hop in support. And if you're unfamiliar, you can hop in here. We can go in here. Let's do what? Let's do the past. Can we do 10 days? So we can do the past 10 days. Let's search. What do we got out of here? So it is 694. So think about this, where if you're sitting at 550, we are at 694, and we have pulled 12 copies of Leviathan. We also did have, and if you remember, we had 1 copy already of Leviathan when we started. So we still need 200 copies. We are at 700 cards. And essentially, without that 1 copy, we would have just got the hero to Ascended with 700 cards. That is not adding a star. That is not adding engraving. That would have costed us, as it sits right now, around what, 670, 670, probably 670 cards to get him up to that Ascended level. So when we talk about, 700 cards for 1 complete, that only took him to Ascended. Anytime that you can hop in here, anytime that I can actually see what I'm doing and where the hero was built. But like I said, that took him 700 cards, got him to Ascended, and that is all that we got him to, guys. So it is kind of crazy. Yeah, got Skyland 13 copies at 700 cards. Yep, that is the cost of the heroes, guys. It is expensive. So within the wish list, I did not include the new Draconic hero because, again, that is one we are skipping. Regardless of the utility, we don't have the resources. Leviathan is in here, and we have been focusing on building up Leviathan in the entirety, but we still do need all the furniture for Sha, and we need all the furniture for Sun Jinwoo. We still need, and again, when it comes to furniture in here, it is just a pit. The Poe coins, the amount of furniture that you need, the amount of summons to get furniture that you really want is incredibly disappointing because it is just such a insane cost, honestly. What's the Awaken Estrelda build? The Awaken Estrelda build, Muhammad, again, is pretty hard. The recommended is a 40965 for the Awakened version of Estrelda. That is the recommended. So there we have all of those. Let's go. Let's see what we got in here. This is going to be attack rating, which we know is already good. Are we going to get crit? There's tenacity. So we are absolutely going to upgrade our attack rating in here. Building that up a little bit further. So again, we got a little bit more furniture, one more piece for Marcio, which again didn't make a huge difference. But we have one more summon. Can it be a mythic? Which it is not. Just going to be another recycle and one closer to a red card. Again, Poe coins are something that you are going to use literally forever in AFK Arena. And even when you start looking at the furniture that we have in here, it's crazy. It is crazy because we have 1,248 pieces of red furniture. We have 91 maxed furniture. So think of, I mean, you want to talk about using some Poe coins, guys. Imagine just for a minute how many Poe coins that I've used within here. That would be something awesome to see. You get more than 2,100 cards a year for free. What do you mean? Get more out of the insignias? No. Out of other cards? Yes. There's a couple different places. Is there an event we can exchange the heroes once a year? Valentine, yes, once a year there is an exchange, which is very costly. A lot of times they don't include any of the new heroes, but yes, traditionally we see an exchange once a year, usually around April, usually around the anniversary of AFK Arena. In the Dragon Forge, is it worth to get scrolls to get more Draconics going further, or the Highborn? So I would get the scrolls. 100% I would get the scrolls in there. Those are the two that are the biggest priority. The reason being, when it comes to getting the scrolls, you have a chance for the Highborn Draconic heroes. So you have to remember that, Aiden, is when you're coming in here and you look at the Dragon Forge, the two big priorities and what you want to focus on. Number one, the insignias, absolutely getting all of the insignias. Number two, getting the scrolls. Because remember, when you look at bigger formations, when you think, again, kind of bigger picture, when you look at the scrolls, we're at 119 already, but wish list in here. And again, thinking of the heroes, Umbriel is starting to see some formation play absolutely being used. Belfira, absolutely, that is a hero that is being used. Scion absolutely is best in slot in a couple different formations. Meleon as a support, again, has some utility here and there. So we have 4 really of the 5 heroes in here. Even Nyla is used in some places. Kregor is used within the Treasure Scramble when it comes to utility. Now, in addition to that, if you're getting a couple of these scrolls, so like we have 119 scrolls right here, chances are we might be able to pull a Highborn Draconic hero, which we know are super expensive in an AFK Arena. Absolutely, I would get them in the entirety. You bought the $3 pack from the Frontier way insignias. I think I did pick up one of the packs in here. I know someone was talking about it earlier with one of the little items. I believe I did. I think I did. And look at that, guys. We got a subscriber. Thank you for subbing to the channel. The Troy and 2006. Thank you for subbing, guys. Yeah, I did pick up one deal that was in here. And I believe it was one of the Vault of Riches deal. I think it was this one. This one, yeah. When you First failed to loot. A portion of the stamina was returned. We are doing a lot of attacking. And again, we're looking at possibly getting a frame in here. That's kind of what we were focused on. Got to get some more resources out of here. And I should grab all of these. Wasn't even paying a ton of attention. Let's go ahead and occupy this. Because I'll circle back and I can do this a little bit later. But I want to hop in here, grab some of these resources. And you have to be grabbing these all the time, guys. It is imperative when it comes to this game mode that you are maximizing all of your resources. If you do not, you are letting another 160 heroes or players down, which is pretty sad. We're going for the frame also. Yeah, Dream, it's very cool. There is a couple different in there with taking that very last place. I think Golden Frontier, we're doing pretty well. And on the free-to-play account, we are doing incredibly, incredibly well. So I know right here, the Gilded Keep, they're going for, so you can see there are a lot of players that are going into the Golden Domain right in the middle, and we have been pushing quite a bit to get into that part of the game mode. Insignia is limited resource. The normal scroll is free to play. Yeah, the Insignias is limited. Yeah, they're very limited, very, very limited. I really like your idea for fixing the Ghoulish Gallery. We need a lot to just recycle. Yeah, and we've said that before, guys. When it comes to the Ghoulish Gallery, and I know there's going to be a lot of beef. There's a lot of players that hate the Ghoulish Gallery. This is a necessary evil within AFK Arena. When you look at the absolute biggest things you get within AFK Arena, guys, it comes from here. The collections, the artifacts that you put on your heroes. There is not a game mode, and literally no game mode, that you use any of Dura's artifacts, the class-specific artifacts, maybe Thorn Cheese if you want to make an exception on there, but you are using collections, and you are using collections for everything. So the way that I look at it and the way that I started it with the Ghoulish Gallery, because I knew it was kind of difficult, is I just suck it up. I do my 7 runs. It takes about 30 minutes to get through there. Even if I do not have any of my legendary insignias in there or any of the emblems, I go through here and I do the runs anyways. And that's it. We just go ahead and we get it done. If you don't have a max build on the Awakened Athalia to do anything, max damage, she has a low ceiling. Yeah, she still does well. Utility-wise for the hero itself, she does do very well. We have not had 5 Highborn Draconic drop this year, even at 2 with a weekly grab. Yeah, they're expensive. And again, when it comes to Highborn Draconic heroes, guys, if you're not a whale, you're not going to build them. Honestly, even looking at where I am. So if you guys remember, and again, just a quick recap, Hilduin, if you were playing Hilduin, we got completely for free. Then I built out the Draconic version of Gwen. This is one we actually put quite a bit of money into to build her because she was the brand new release. Then we focused on building out Lan, got her built up. Now we focused and we're building out Leviathan, which means we skipped Skyland, we skipped Halia, and we skipped the new Highborn Draconic heroes. So we are already missing 3 of the Highborn Draconic heroes in their entirety, and there is not a point that I'm going to build them at all. They are heroes that, unfortunately, again, I can merc both copies. Not too worried about it. I am not going to build them at all. What is the best cards you want in the Unlimited Summons event? Honestly, the 2 best ones is if you get a copy of Envy and then get a copy of Liberta. They would be the 2. Again, earlier game, they are the first ones that you're really going and that you're kind of chasing after are those 2. Now, with that being said, getting those 2 specific heroes, you have a very, very, very small chance of getting those 2 specific heroes. That's the reason why thinking of getting a copy probably of Envy, if you get a copy early, does work pretty well. But I would look and really open it up to, let's say, Saren Mina, looking at Nox, looking at Lavatoon, then looking at Liberta, Demia, Aurelia, even Lysander. If you're getting any of those, really any of those 4 or 5 heroes for your Celestial or Hypo, I would go with it just because you're going to go in there and really, it's going to be a big game changer. Thorn Cheese and Mahira Speed Charm. Yeah, and that's it. That's really the only 2 places, Corey, that you would use it. Ghoulish Gallery wants me dead. The Dream, I know, it's farming, and it is farming a lot. I don't really like the event. It's boring. It just keeps group enemies. Yeah, and that's a lot of feedback. So if you guys remember, Golden Frontier came from Companions. So if you were actually playing on the Companion server, that is where this event had come from. We ran, I believe, 4 iterations of this. So we did run a multitude of iterations of the Golden Frontier. They have made it a lot better. And I have to stress that, guys, they have made the Golden Frontier a lot better than what we had seen originally. If you were subject to playing on the companion server and doing the original beta versions, there was so much stuff that was broken. It was insane. It was insane how many things on there really did not work at all. Is it worth to buy the pass that gives a lot of dust? So if you're doing purchases, guys, let's look at this really quick in the merchants tab, because I want to show you. So if you're a newer player to AFK Arena, and I know a lot of you are newer to AFK Arena, is when you're coming in here, there are a few things to buy. The first one that I do like, and I know that Finn is going to have something to say about this, I like the Adventurers Pack. So the Adventurers Pack, the Climbers Rewards, there's a couple, and unfortunately I don't have them in here because I already purchased them, but they give you those 45,000 diamonds for 20 bucks, which is a pretty good pack. Now, out of that, the monthly cards. Out of here, getting these monthly cards and getting essence out of here, but really what you're looking for out of here are red chests. When you look at these two monthly cards, these are by far the best purchases that you're going to get, just for the simple fact that they are going to give you resources every single day. It is going to make progression a lot easier. And when you start looking at getting essence out of here, absolutely, I would get essence out of there, and I do get essence out of here. But when you start looking at time emblems, then you get into building out and getting those red chests or the baits. And then the final chest, of course, gives you these elemental cores. Everything that you need to build heroes is right here. You can get on a daily basis, and you want to get them on a daily basis. Again, if you're willing to commit to 30 days for the monthly card, playing every single day in AFK Arena, these two make a big difference. It really does make a big difference in here. I love the new Golden Frontier event. I think it made the game really good. Yeah, I think there's a few things that they need to streamline. Just someone who is broke. There's a couple parts they need to streamline. And one of the biggest things that they need to fix with the Golden Frontier is going in there and removing players that are inactive. If you're not going in, if the leader of the Golden Frontier is not managing the players that are in there, you have a lot of dead weight, very similar to what we've seen with Hunting Fields, the Abyssal Expedition, now the Golden Frontier. If this is something that they want to do and that they're building in the Golden Frontier, they have to remove inactive players. And in my opinion, guys, it needs to happen automatically, where I like it. If you're going in here and if you're building out the Golden Frontier, again, it needs to say, okay, well, let's say 48 hours, whatever, maybe even 3 days. If you do, 3 days in the entirety, that they are taking players in a league that are not playing and just removing them. Even looking here where some players, you can see right here, they have 0 activity, no league CP. They need to take heroes that are at the 0 CP. And honestly, if they're not doing anything, I would even give them a window. And look at it, guys. Look at all of the dead weight that we have in here. So even though right here it's showing we have 141 players that are in this game mode, all of them, even here within the last 7 days. So JB has not logged in within the last week, which again, it just needs to clip the dead weight to get rid of the dead weight, or we need to streamline exactly 160. Now, when we started the Golden Frontier, we had 200 players in each one of these. Now it's down to 160. They reduced it. Even then, we're not filling any of these. So again, when we start looking at all of the leagues, you can see 159, 23. So right here, guys, this is a entirely dead league that is not going anywhere. So everyone has left this league in the entirety. And then looking at some of the ones right here, 38, 95. A lot of players have left these leagues to go fill up the rest of these leagues. They need to do something about it, and they need to do something about inactive leaders, where if you're a leader within the game mode itself, if you are inactive, it just boots you out. Like I said, we have a few in there that could be inactive, and I was in one with the free-to-play account that we did not have any of the leaders active. So literally, after the first day, we never attacked anyone because we just sat there. We literally just sat there. Is a communication game. You need to communicate and go with the best team. You have a good lead. And that's it. That is it, Finn. If you have a good leader, that is the point. That is the problem. It's good and it's a really fun game mode, but it needs to remove players that are inactive. And of course, if they become active, they can always hop in. It'll prompt them into a league or just dump them into a league. But any player that, again, if you do 3 days, and honestly, Golden Frontier, it needs to be something like 3 days, because I feel like with a 30-day window, if you wait 7 days to remove players, it's way too long. If you don't log in within 3 days, just remove you from the Golden Frontier. If you join back in, it will drop it right back in, just like we know. And there is Shooty, guys. What is going on, Shooty? Now, I know Shooty is very, very active on the companion server. So if you need tips, if you need guides, that is the go-to for AFK Arena companions content. Unfortunately, I do not really play companions anymore, but Shooty absolutely crushes it with the guides and everything. If you're playing the companion server, he is really the GOAT when it comes to everything over there on the companion server. Now, Final Stake, I know this one is another one which right here, I'm gonna have to do this a little bit later because we are also going to get some of our insignias in here. I haven't picked those ones up yet. Do not miss an opportunity to get resources. I have to stress it, guys. If you want to make progression, you have to go in there. What is the companion server? So the companion server is a little bit, and it is right here, guys. This is the companion server, new server that doesn't share characters from the classic server. Doesn't share them all, but shares most of them. It is more of a, in my opinion, like a light version of AFK Arena. It is kind of what it is. It doesn't have as much content. It doesn't have as much depth as we have here in the classic version. It is kind of just, and again, kind of the way that I look at it is a little bit of a lighter version of AFK Arena, just kind of based on the build. It is just a little bit of a lighter version, an easier version of AFK Arena, because it doesn't have the crazy amount of content that we have over here. Is it worth keeping Iran leveled up, or should I use Legacy of Grit to swap him with someone else? He is good, Don, and he is very, very good when you look at the tower. He also does have some uses when it comes to the Nightmare Corridor. But if you swap like an Iran, especially here in the World of Tree, it's going to be a little bit more difficult if you don't have anyone built or everyone built. He's pretty good. Now, honestly, longevity-wise, when you start building everyone out, he's probably going to be one that you're going to want to swap. That's the exact same thing that I'm going to end up doing. And we can see in here that swapping some of the heroes, it might make sense as a newer player to swap earlier. But again, damage-wise, if you get him built up a little bit, he'll actually do pretty well in there. Burden paired and still able to keep back. Yeah, Corey, honestly, if you're spending probably 20 to 30 minutes a day in AFK Arena, and even that is kind of being generous, just because I'm thinking of if you're going in the Golden Frontier, if you're doing the Ghoulish Gallery, there might be days where you spend, 10 minutes in AFK Arena, run through the dailies. There might be 20, 30 minutes when you go through the Ghoulish Gallery, the Voyage of Wonder, a couple different places. It's not going to be too incredibly crazy to think about a game where players are playing, 2 or 3 days a week, or 2 or 3, playing every 2 or 3 days. It makes sense, and it really does make sense. Thanks for the shout out. And Hippo said, you feel guys free, come over. Yeah, if you need anything, like I said with Shooty, if you need anything companions, guys, that is where it is. I understand why they don't play the Golden Frontier because it's overwhelming, no good tutorial. Just yesterday I attacked Garrison attack. I think at Team Town just because I wanted to move there. Depending on the leadership. So the way that it works, and I know I did put out a couple of guides out of there, is for a majority of players, including myself, I only join rallies because there's nothing else you can do. So when you look at where we are right now, and there are really only 2 things you can do. 1, you can join the rallies, or 2, you can mobilize arms, which honestly, you'll do both of them. So you can see right here, we are mobilizing arms, which means we are here kind of as a defense. You can attack other enemies' camps that are mobilizing arms. But other than that, we are rallying, and you can see we are rallying to the Gilded Keep right here. All of us are rallying right there. That's all you can really do. This game mode, again, some players say that it's overwhelming. There's not really anything that you can do as far as like the Crown of Reckoning. There's nothing you do in here that is kind of individualized. Even the Honor Spotlight, you're going to go in here, you're going to collect your loot. Vault of Riches, when you get enough resources, you can actually level these up. Right now, it does take quite a bit or quite a while to build these up a little bit further, as you can see. But other than that, there's not a lot to do. Even looking at the rallying once you attack, this is 10 hours. So if you go in here and you go in here and you rally, that's it. There's really not a lot to do in this game mode. And short of being a leader that is initiating the rallies, that has a lot more stuff going on in the direction of the game mode itself, there's not a ton. You can see the ranking. While you're so late, you're supposed to be the top 1 to 3 leagues. Yeah, you have to be in there. Better than Temu, but not as good as the original team. Companions is Amazon special versus AFK Arena. It's just like I said, it's just more of a basic version. That is it. Returned to the game 3 weeks ago. It took me time to understand the thing and how the Golden Frontier works. Yeah, in IDAN, the other thing is to remember is once you go in there and you see exactly how the Golden Frontier works, it's very simple. Once you go in there, it is very easy in there, which again, it's pretty easy to go in there. There's not a ton you can do unless you're a leader. A leader is going to give you a little bit more access to what is going and where you're going and kind of how they're doing it, which is interesting. REM is not worth going for anymore for new players. Honestly, REM is. So the big reason, Alo, is when you look at REM is very early and you can get REM very early. REM will carry you through a significant amount of content when it comes to, getting to 2 teams, even when you get into 3 teams, where we have Randy on 1 team, REM will be a 2nd team. Then hopefully at that point, you have someone that is built up a little bit further, whether it's Envy, whether it's Liberta, whether it's someone who can drive the 3rd team. But REM, even as a newer player, will do well. Now, the question is, in this one, we do not know yet as it sits, Alo, is will we see Sha? So will we see Sha or will we see Jinwoo being able to carry like what REM did? I don't know. I don't know because, again, I don't have the hero yet on the free-to-play account. But we might be able to, and you might be able to have a hero like Sha that is going to drive it and really be able to push it. We even don't know if that's true with Marcial, looking at a newer player. If you could Garrison Marcial very early, if you could Garrison Sha very early, which I know is months down the road, are they going to be a replacement for REM? We do not know. We really don't know at that point if it's going to be really worth it. REM gives 500 energy. You can use her like a, yeah, and that's where REM, again, REM's utility, if you can keep REM alive, whether you're having some shielding in there, whether you're having some crowd control, REM can do incredibly well in there, which is nice. How do I know what to build and do in AFK Arena after I got a few good Ascended heroes? Just Ascended Envy. Just in general, a lot of questions of what to do next without paying a lot. Victor, the big thing is go and look at the tier list. So when you start looking at the tier list or when you start thinking of heroes in general to build, when you're building out or thinking about something like your Stargazer, which you're going to build out Liberta, but looking at building a hero like Envy, then you're going to look at building probably the Awakened version of Chimera. And then then we're going to have to see a couple more that are in there. But yeah, the Awakened version of Chimera does still do well. But if you just built Envy, I would wait. Now, the reason being, when you look at a hero like Envy, Envy is very strong. Envy is going to carry if you build a team around him, going to do incredibly well. But we're very close. It is going to be probably not this release, but the next release will give us a Mauler Awakened hero, which again, we don't know what that's going to look like overall. And we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see exactly what it looks like. The Vulcan is coming back for the collab. Yeah, I talked to him, Finn. I actually talked to him, and we had a big discussion about the collaboration when he did that collaboration video. Yeah, most of you know, guys, that I have known Vulcan for years. We've actually collabed a couple different times. Yeah, absolutely, guys. He's a great guy. Aussie, as many of you know, but very cool to see. And I know Solo Leveling was one of his absolute favorite collaborations or one of his favorite animes. And again, we've talked about it before. I have Sha, and she brought me to chapter 33-35. That's what I'm thinking. And that's where, I mean, I can even hop over onto the free-to-play account and kind of show you, because we have the resources right here for the FHC follow. And if you've seen, we did get the frame on here, which is cool. Yeah, Rem will still carry you for a lot of content. We just don't know right now if Marcial or if Sha will actually carry just like Rem does. I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see exactly what that looks like. Is the dim coming? I would love to see a dimensional hero. That is something we've been waiting forever. And really, Sha has more usage than Rem. That would be awesome. I would absolutely love. So if we can get one, should I get Sha or Sung? I would get Sha. I would absolutely, if you can only get one, which again, Miles, you should be able to very, very easily get both of these heroes. And again, this is our free-to-play account. We can look at our exchange rate here. Even looking here, we have a couple more, which I know chess-wise, we have 60 of 60 here, 59 of 60 right here, and I still do have all of these chests for the next 10 days. So we have literally what, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We have 20 chests sitting in here. So once I go in here and I know as soon as I do the exchange, which is going to be in 2 more days, once I do the exchange in here, as soon as I get the chests in my bag, I'm going to go and I'm going to Garrison Rem. Rem is going to be, and again, 2 more days, is going to be the second team to go through 31-4, and we'll push a lot more progression going through here with Rem and a second team. And then, of course, we do have a couple diamonds. We have a lot more resources in here that we have been slowly just kind of farming one by one to go in there. I gave you 10 campaign tasks. You can use my Athalia as a second team. I can, but you can only use them once. That's the problem, Dream, is when you start looking at the ability to go through and push through with the new hero, you can only do one battle. So it is kind of cheesy because even here, like we go to the second battle, we can drop out Lysander. There we go. We'll drop him in here. We can only go through and do one. What do you think about the new dragon? Worth the build? Right now, Michael, I would say no. I know it is very, very early. And again, thinking of the Highborn Draconic heroes right now as it sits, we know that number one, that land has a ton of utility. Number two, we know that right now, looking at the heroes, that Leviathan has a ton of utility. If you have both of them built, then I would wait to see exactly where the new Draconic hero is coming in. He might not come in anywhere, but again, that is kind of yet to be seen. But yeah, I feel like Sung is the one that I would focus on, Miles. Absolutely more valuable, plus 40. Again, I feel like Sung is going to have a lot more utility in the different game modes. I think that is where I would build it. I would really build it if we only had one. That is the hero that I would build. Now here, I know we can get through this one. It might just take a few attempts, but we can go through, finish out 31-4. But again, I want to focus on, and I do want to build out Rem, which I'm almost wondering, I've been farming the towers like crazy. So I'm almost thinking that they, probably do not have any of these resources at all. Just for the simple fact, again, that I've been using a couple different heroes in a few different places. So I figured they didn't have any collections on there. Build Villanelle. Yeah, Villanelle works incredibly well, especially in the Rem support team. We seen that, Gory, and we actually seen that within the teams right now, that she does incredibly well with Villanelle. I know also Naruko is another one that does incredibly well. There's a few different ones that do very, very well in formations. The SI40 is universal buff for the whole team. Yeah, that's a big thing. Sha's SI only affects her. Sung can be used to buff anyone. Oh, there you go. So Sha's, we looked at it a little bit earlier, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait to do this one just because I know that we can go in there. I know we can finish that one and hopefully push through a couple more stages in here. I kind of feel like the frame, Yeah, I like the frame. So one of the big things with the frames, guys, is most of them, they're a lot bigger than they need to be, and it covers up a lot. Look at that one. It covers up a lot of the hero's profile, which I do not like at all, because if you're blocking half of the hero's profile, it really doesn't make sense. And look at the one with Alna. But it really doesn't make sense to cover up half of the, of the hero's profile. I do like the ability to see the heroes itself, which again, a lot of them, you can't really see a lot of the hero. I like how it's built. I do like it. I want the lucky draw frame. Feels more exclusive. Yeah, Finn is all about exclusivity. If you have the ability to get something exclusive, Finn is all in right there. Frame should not be around the avatar. And that's it. That's where I feel like, again, a lot of these, even if they put the numbers, if they put a couple different things, it's incredibly difficult to see a lot of the avatar pieces in there. And I do not like it. I do not like when the frame covers up the avatar in its entirety. I do not like it. So let's go in here. We have 10 more of our summons, which unfortunately nothing there. Now in here, guys, if you're not going in and if you're not getting arcane staffs, there's nowhere else to get them. So I know they just gave us 10 arcane staffs in here. If you're not doing any of the purchases, if you are not actually buying these arcane staffs from the store itself, there's nowhere else to get them. An event every now and then, maybe something kind of, here and there. But overall, unfortunately, there is not any place that you can get the arcane staffs. So again, that's kind of a really big part of the Ghoulish Gallery. That is holding a lot of players back because they can't make any progression. It's really tough in there. How do you learn to make formation synergy boosts? I look at the leaderboard, still missing. So Victor, a lot of it depends on who you have. So when you go in here, and this is a very easy way to look at it, is when you look at formations, the current formation. So right here, we have recommended formations. The recommended formations will be based on heroes that you have. Because I do not have a majority of heroes within AFK Arena, it is not recommending any formations. Popular formations are going to give us a lot, which right there's Randy. Second team is comprised of Rem, just like we've seen before. That is the combination that we see. And just like we were talking about just a minute ago, Rem with Villanelle does incredibly well. Even there is the awakened version of Shmira, which again messes and changes with the cheat death that we have of Rem. Very, very strong teams in here, but overall, this is a formation that will carry you all the way through chapter 31, is having Rem in one team, having Randy in another team, and again, working very well in conjunction with both of them. You'll be stuck at 31 for a while because you didn't save the Essence chest until 31. You need to get Hero Essence 240 in the first week to continue grinding the campaign. Honestly, we got some of them to 200. They're 200 across the board. We're 240 already here with Randy, which I know, I left everything on my light bearers, didn't I? Again, we were farming the light bearer tower today. So I feel like, again, we can, and we're going to make some room through here. We can be able to, and we will be able to push through some of this, again, just kind of based on the levels. Because even looking here, we're halfway. No, we're over halfway. The 200 across the board, again, just kind of based on the heroes that we have in here. I want to make sure that we take all of our gear off everyone. And I wish there was a way to just remove all of the gear just for the hero itself. So even looking here, we have a 240. I can level up Ivan. I can look, well, actually, he's the only other one that I can level up. That takes us all the way to the 220. Again, I know I used the resource chest a little bit earlier, but that's okay because we have 240, 220, a lot at 200. And even here, these guys can't go up anymore until I ascend them. So I need more copies of heroes. So that's kind of where we're stuck right now. Is any of these, I cannot ascend until they're at the ascended level, or I cannot level up any further until they hit ascended. The only one I can do is right here with Ivan, building him up a little bit further, which again, once we go in there and we do get that copy of Rem in 2 more days, I feel like 31-4 is going to be pretty easy to go through there. A very end game right now, focusing on the Nightmare Corridor. Just don't know who to build, who's better to pick for Nightmare Corridor because we use both. Yeah, Sung is another one where, again, Miles, when we were kind of looking at it, is the very basic build for Sung Jinwoo does take him to a plus 40 signature item at the very, very basic build because of the extra damage. So right here, when poison enemies take 40% more damage, that again is the reason why most players are building him, is the extra damage that they're putting out. So having an enemy that takes a lot more extra damage, especially in something like the Nightmare Corridor, and even in the iteration right now that we have on Global, they are using Sun Jinwoo in the formation, which is awesome. Just look at a lot of comps from other people and let the auto battle run. Yeah, that's the big thing. BSD is you look at what you have there. Essence chest cap out in chapter 29. No need to hold them. There you go. So 29 is the max out, which I don't even know if we have any chests in here. We have a couple. We can go ahead. We can pop these open. And again, thinking of the resources, guys, these are maxed out too. Where's my other chests, which are raid? I have 10 of these. Plus we have all of the ones that are in just kind of waiting to be used. Now look at this, 24 rare cards, boom. Even here we have 18 for our Wilders, 42 for the Light Bearers. This is tower, that is really running formations. That is running the towers. That's the reason why I've said kind of time and time again, when it comes to building up heroes, when it comes to being able to build up these heroes, the towers are the point. Even looking, again, kind of earlier game, tower formations at 125 is your goal, because at 125, you get Stargazer Scrolls. This is the point where every 10 levels over 125, you are going to get Stargazer Scrolls. You can see we are free to play. We are newer on this account to AFK Arena. We have 57 Stargazer Scrolls because we've been farming them out of the tower. Even looking here at the Brutal Citadel, we have 8 floors left. Going to be able to get almost to that 125 in there, but we've been pushing all of these. I believe World Tree, we have a lot more. Forsaken Necropolis, again, because we do have Ivan combination, already at 161. Celestial Sanctum, Infernal Fortress. Unfortunately, we cannot make really any progression on either side of those, but we want to hop in here. We'll do a lot more summons. We have a lot more stones, even down here, guys. We have a total of 9 more summons. We have some rare stones. Want to build these up and getting, boom, 42 rare heroes in there. Going to give us enough to build up Alvita a little bit further and continue to go ahead and make a lot more progression. Played for 2 weeks and I've got heroes 274. My problem is hero XP after you get your heroes to 240, and that's it. So you're going to have one of two issues. Either one, you're going to wait for EXP, or two, you're going to wait for Essence. That is kind of the AFK aspect of AFK Arena. That is a point where a majority of players will hit the wall in the entirety. There are built-in places for just someone who is broke. There's built-in places where it kind of stops your progression. And that is to keep players from running through, 50 chapters in a couple days. There are built-in places where you're going to need more essence, you're going to need more experience, and it is going to be essentially just a wait. Yeah, Golden Frontier gives a lot of essence. 1000%. That is a place where you can farm a lot of essence out of the Golden Frontier, guys. Even looking in here, what we get on a daily basis, and I haven't hopped on here yet. But right there, guys, you're looking at 3,500 essence a day. That is a day we're getting essence out of here, making it and being able to build this up a lot faster. Friend invite. What do we got? Cleanse the League of old non-liquid cargo. So go ahead and get rid of some of that. Even here, stop. I don't know what the stop is. We've had enough. BR for 8 attack. Add packs of tier 7. Otherwise, we won't make it. And again, if you have a good leader in here, guys, it's a game changer. It is the absolute game changer if you're going in here and being able to actually play with a player that is, again, kind of directing people, doing the rallies, doing everything that they need to within there. It makes a big difference. Just frustrating at true endgame. Again, Corey, it takes time. It really does take time. I feel like pre-140 you lack gold. So I thought about the gold. Look at this, guys, 263 million. The gold in here didn't seem to be any problem. But again, this is an account that by design, we did not want to race through all of the content. Look at this. We have all of these. Again, refreshes in 22 days, 150,000 here, 129. So we're going to be able to build, and I'm going to use all of these resources. Again, we're going to pick up REM. After we pick up REM, I'm going to go shopping at the store. We're going to go and have a absolute field day, because we have all of these chests that we're going to be able to use in here to absolutely get a crazy amount in 2 more days when we get those chests, which is going to be awesome. So going through the Ghoulish Gallery, going through a lot of it, yeah, I definitely like it. If you don't like, just use it. Yeah, passive income for diamonds and dust. That's all you need. I have someone on my server who paid 60K and he's level 400. Yeah, if you got the money, that's it. You can literally dump an insane amount of money into AFK Arena. And it does make a huge difference in progression. And that is the big thing when it comes to AFK Arena, guys. It is going to be either time or it's going to be money. Those are the really 2 big things. And it is going to be one of the really 2 big things that we do have within AFK Arena, is if you're not willing to put in the time, if you're not willing, to go in there and kind of just farm like you need to, it's a game changer, because you're going to be to a point where, again, it's going to be time or it's going to be money. That's it. it is going to be one or the other that is going to help you with progression, and it's going to help you and really go through faster and faster. The more money you put into it, you can buy your way to go through with resources. Even if you go in there, let's say for instance, you go into AFK Arena, you drop $5,000, which again is just absolutely, utterly insane. You can go ahead and build out all the Draconic heroes you want if you're buying everything over a couple days. Get whatever you want. It's incredibly easy to go through and incredibly easy to make content in AFK Arena. If you're going through and if you're looking at just purchasing everything within the game, it does make it very easy to go through and very easy to just crush through all of the content. Because again, if you're putting money into it, it's very easy to do. And honestly, for players that do, thank you. They keep the game running. If you look, if we made absolutely no income at all in here, unfortunately, I don't think the game would be around. Star Garcia just got land a 1-star. Very nice. The engraving on land does work incredibly well, especially in the PvP mode. I want to see if I can do the gifting of the membership, which I think it just came out, guys. So give me just a minute. We love doing this membership gifting, and we do it every single stream that we do, as long as I don't forget. Yeah, I want to go through here. Let's go ahead. That will pop up in just a minute. It should go ahead and go through. Where am I at for the Treasure Scramble? So Treasure Scramble, it's been a little bit difficult. Rank 100 right there. And I don't think I set my other team. I think I have a third team to set in here, but there we go. Again, just based on kind of the basic heroes we have to go through here, all at 360. Got to do some more summons, got to do some more progression, but that is absolutely free. And congratulations to Samuel for gifting of the membership, which is awesome. Yeah, Nox can solo carry. If you're going in there, yeah, Corey, we do the membership gifting every single stream. And if you're not familiar, that is my name. I am Dennis. That is my financial channel. We cannot go in here and I cannot do the gifting of the membership for whatever reason. They do not allow us to do it from my own YouTube account, but I can do it from my finance channel. So we go in there. We do this every single time that we do the stream. Again, from that finance channel. Temple Rift, we've been pushing through a little bit further, waiting to level this up. And guys, AFK Arena is about, like we've said, the constant and continuous progression through the content. The more you put into it, especially for a lot of these game modes, the more you're going to get out of it, even looking like a thrilling voyage. We're using all of our attempts in here, but going in and building out even the Fog of Forest, get all of the extra resources, get all of the diamonds in here, get all of the baits, get everything that this game has to offer in all of the different game modes in the entirety. Don't miss out on any of it. You really do not. And honestly, if you're committed to the game, don't miss out on any of the resources. It will absolutely set you back. I've been around since the infant days. I just blame the kiddos. Nothing for me to do in more lives. I miss being weak at the game. That's why we started Yoshi. So honestly, guys, if you've been playing AFK Arena, and for me, it's already been 6 years, making a new account, going in here as a free-to-play new account, it's a lot of fun to see the game. It is an entirely different experience going in, being pay to win versus being free to play. It is a very different experience, honestly. Coming in here and seeing all of the units, because I think, when I started AFK Arena, a majority of the heroes we have in here, we didn't have. We didn't have any of those. When do the Beast event reset? 28 days. So your attempts reset every week. So every week you get, or no, challenges. Is it every month? Right here, attempts are shared among all events. For each challenge, one attempt is used. Player number of events is restored at 80 times at 0 UCC every Monday. So every Monday, so it is every week. So yeah, every single week you get all of your 80 attempts back. As you can see, we're at 0, meaning tomorrow when it resets, we'll have all of our challenge attempts back. It shows it's midnight on Monday. Yeah, so it is gonna, Gory, it's gonna be there on the reset. Going to be in there every week. You do get 80 of those, which is awesome. Going back to day one is insane. Yes, absolutely. Would you prioritize Envy over Chimera as the first awaken? So I did not. So if you look at the new player guide, they recommend getting one copy of the awakened version of Chimera. Again, simply because of how she works fundamentally, it does work incredibly well. And then building out all of the copies of Envy. I did the exact same. Out of my desire or my unlimited summons, I did get the copy of Chimera, and then I started building out Envy, which is how I did it. If you went through, if you really did get Envy first, it would be okay. I like Chimera in there as a first one because it was really, really different. How long until we see Marseille? Should probably be about a month and a half. I think Marseille is about a month and a half out because of where they are. Yeah, if you get Envy to Mythic early game, he'll be one that carries. Once you add the signature item to, once you add that signature item to Envy, it's easy. It's a very easy go through, which is easy. Why is Sheltier not available in the Garrison? I believe that was the reiteration. I believe when they re-released, it hasn't been the time frame. We haven't seen the time frame in there for Sheltier to be in there. And again, it takes months. I don't know if it's 5 or 6 months, but roughly that's about how far it has been, which is kind of crazy. It's timing. It is going to take a little bit more time. But all right, guys, I know we're a little bit over the time right here. But again, guys, thank you guys for joining me. We do the live stream at least once a week. Try to do one during the week, but it's awesome to see. It's awesome to talk to you guys about AFK Arena, everything we have going on in the game, and still waiting to see with the 3 other the 3 next Awaken heroes that we have. They have to be coming down the pipeline. Hopefully by the end of the year, we should see 3 more Awaken heroes, and we'll have to see exactly what it looks like and what the impact of those heroes will be. How do you get dimensional heroes after the event ends? Through the Garrison. That's it. It takes a while, Victor. And again, it takes roughly 5 to 6 months before you see them in there. Enjoy the Sunday coffee. Yep, my Sunday coffee is right here that my daughter brought me. I'm going to go back. I'm going to kick back and I'm going to enjoy it, which is awesome, guys. Again, thank you guys for joining me for a stream. A lot more stuff that is coming down the pipeline. But as always, guys, thank you guys for joining me. I love talking to you guys. And of course, thank you guys for watching.